what's the person's name that you said that you think you left that is with right here?
Well, I was going to transfer you, but I was getting your name so I can let her know who's calling so she can pull up a file.
I asked her name and I haven't been answered.
I don't know because the name on the list is not her name. We got a new one.
Okay.
You want me to go ask her? I can go ask her.
Okay, so she left, but you can go ask her?
I said, I don't know if she left, but when I look on, somebody's still logged in at that station. Let me go see if she's there.
Okay, so you have one party with right here and you're not sure of her name because she's new.
Right, that part.
Okay.
Let me go ask her. Let me see if she's still there, okay?
Okay. This is the time. I called at a 6:11. No one has responded or came in. Or came. They said they were sending out right here. I'm deprived of law enforcement. My rights have been violated to the degree of going out to eat. I could not even go out and purchase food. I went to grocery stores and they schemed with that. I had it, I showed it, but at one point I didn't know that they were setting me up for the smear campaign. And I was honest with my experiences, and my experiences aren't believable. So I can't just tell people what I experienced because it's not believable. And I was at first, and that was not a very good idea because you have to see it to believe it. And even with the petty things, they're just hard to believe that people would actually go to this extreme. But they did.
Her name is Allison.
Allison. Okay. So if someone calls at 6:11 this morning and then they're supposed to send out right care, is it normal for it to be 4:40 and no one has came?
I don't know if they send anybody or not.
Yeah. What did I call?
I don't know if they.
Do you know what I called? Do you know what I called?
What address?
You have to find out what I called?
I have to find out the address so I can tell you.
I asked you what I called. I don't know why so many numbers, they have a hard time realizing what I called.
Do you have an address?
You don't want me to know what I called?
You said you asked to request on right care to be come out from this morning.
I just asked you what I called, ma'am. I've been asking that for a long time. Are you trying to make it difficult on this non-emergency line?
Nope, I am not.
Okay, so what did I call? What did I call?
You called for right care.
Okay, so this is the number to right care.
You can call. This is the 911 number. I can transfer you to right care.
Okay, so calling out right care, you don't know how that procedure is?
I put in it on the notations, but I don't have no control over the ETA or when they answer the calls, is what I'm telling you.
Okay.
Because I'm just a 911 operator. I don't answer the calls. I just put them in.
Okay. Ma'am, we forgot something. You didn't get any of my information to know who I was, to know what was going on with my call.
That's why I'm asking you for the address.
But you just said you don't have time on information on the ETA. Anyway, my address is... I did call from that number.
Okay.
The same phone number. Ma'am, you asked me if I saw the police? Ma'am.
Yes.
I gave you my information so you can tell me what happened.
I'm asking you, did you see police this morning? Because they do have right care for police for right care.
Okay, if I called you and I said what happened, why would you ask me if I saw the police and you got my information and are refusing to tell me?
I asked you, did you see the police this morning?
I've already stated that when I asked you what happened. Common sense, if I'm calling you to ask you what happened, then that would let you know that they didn't come. So you just got my information to tell me what was going on, and you asked me if I saw the police. So, no, I told you up front in this call that no one has responded, and I asked you what the status was, and you're playing games and depriving me of that information.
No, I'm not playing games.
Okay, well, ma'am, I gave you my information. What happened? I called at 6.
I'll put it back in. If you need right care, I can put it back in.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. So you did not get the call from this morning, or do you not want me to know?
I see it from this morning, but we're not allowed to read it. That's why I asked you, did you see police this morning?
Okay, so I'm confused. So someone called out.
Not confused.
I said,
confusing. I asked you, did you see?
I am confused, and people should not repetitively start arguments, disregard, and violate on multitude of calls because they can't get their story straight. So if I called, ma'am, I called at 611, okay, and you're refusing to tell me what happened when I called on a supposedly emergency line for assistance and none was given, and you don't want me to know?
To do that.
Okay.
If you want to speak to a supervisor, I can let them do it.
Okay, so I just want to try to make sure I understand. So now in 2022, when you call the emergency line, they're not allowed to tell you what's going on with the emergency. They can't tell you anything about the emergency now in 2022.
We can't tell you who responded and how they responded to the call, is what I'm saying.
Okay, well, I'm the party on the line, and I'm telling you that no one responded, and I'm trying to see what happened, and you can't do that. Tell me what happened if someone's coming, period. So you just have to sit in this twilight zone when you're me. So now, I mean, rules have changed everywhere, ma'am. You have to see it to believe it. They used to give you the turnaround times, but since they don't follow the rules with me, they don't want you to know. They told me there was a certain amount of response time, but the people blatantly lie and get away with it for years. Just outlandish lies repetitively. Groups of people. So now, the new rule is when someone calls for an emergency and asks you what happened, you can't tell them. That's the new rule.
If you want the supervisor to tell you, I'll allow them. I'm not allowed to tell you.
Okay, so when you're calling the emergency line and you want to know an update of the status of your call, now the new thing of it is now you can't say it. The supervisor has to say it.
I can put it back in if that's what you want.
What do you mean put it back in? No one has responded. What would you be putting it back in for?
Because you're requesting the help, right?
What happened this morning when I requested the help? You don't want me to know what happened?
I asked you a question. You didn't answer. You said no one showed up.
Well, if you ask me a question,
if you can pay attention to my questions, then
I don't know why you would want multitude of parties, because this would be abuse, ma'am. To gaslight me over a party, intercepting 911 calls and emergency calls is criminal. That is a charge.
You need right care assistance.
And for emergency operators to do that, that is a crime. So
you need right care assistance, ma'am.
You're disregarding the fact that I've already called this morning. That would be an indicator that I do need them because I've already called at 611. And you're depriving me, you're gaslighting, deflecting, and you don't want me to know what happened when I called 611 this morning. That's vital that I know what happened. I already called at 611 and it's 4:48, almost 5. And if I'm going to continue to get deprived of emergency services, getting robbed, threatened, guns pulled on me, people hanging up in my face, what quality of life is that for me? To keep on going through this for years. You guys know that you're recording that I'm recording. It was way worse. They would just hang up in emergencies and not even to give me assistance. When people were threatening me in the background and I was terrified, and 911 would hang up in my face and deny dispatch and schemes. And I had to live my life living in a tent in that terror, knowing there was nowhere on the planet I can go. Even trying to go get help from my church, they drugged me out of there, assaulted me at church. So you tell me, ma'am, I don't have rights. So for parties such as myself, what do you suggest? I called at 611 this morning. I don't have rights like normal people. What do I do?
Hold on.
Like I said, since I've been going through this a long time, right care was just to frame me. They don't want me anywhere near right care. Because if I have therapy, there are requirements for therapy that you have to report it. And if they know that there's criminal, that would be what I'm doing to vent from my trauma. They don't want me to speak with a therapist because the therapist would have to commit a crime. And it's too risky for me to repeatedly over and over discuss this with the therapist. And then them have to repeatedly over and over recover for it. Each time they hear this and do nothing, it's criminal. So therefore, they don't want me getting therapy because it's problematic for the cover-up. Who cares? No, people aren't concerned about my feelings. Is how this cover-up is going. You know what? I have to give a gratitude and grace to God because it is a miracle that I'm still alive. You know, for whatever reason, my life has been spared. I give God all the glory. And I think it is a miracle that I'm still living. It's like I said, each day I did not know if I was going to get murdered that day. When I have these false arrests, it may not appear so. I did not know if I was going to live through these encounters. It's multiple times in jail. I did not know if I would make it out alive. I'm getting threatened, put in isolation, the schemes with the food, a whole bunch of other things that I can't even discuss.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Clark?
Yes.
My supervisor told me to go ahead and tell you that the police did come out there at 9:05 this morning.
That's a blatant lie.
I'm just telling you what happened.
That is a blatant lie.
I'm telling you.
There's no reason for you to get loud.
I'm not, ma'am.
That is a blatant lie. I don't know why party.
I'm telling you.
It's like you're lying, ma'am, or someone is not being dishonest. We need to get down to the bottom of why so many parties are dishonest. I'm in the same room, and I've been here in the same room working from home. No one has came. And if they normally call, they have my number.
They didn't call. It says they knocked at the door. Nobody.
It is a blatant lie, ma'am. That is a blatant lie. That did not happen. It's a blatant lie, ma'am. Let's get what we do now. It's a blatant lie. That did not happen. It's a blatant lie.
I don't answer the calls, Miss Clark, so I don't know.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. So I have called 214-744, which is the non-emergency emergency line, and they didn't show, and we don't know how to resolve the issue that I've called for help for right care. They have been trying to frame me for mental illness, sending out right care for years. Now that I'm calling right care, they're depriving me of right care. And as a 911 operator, you don't know how to resolve the issue of me not getting service and not getting right care sent out. It's a bottomless pit. There was no resolution to right care not coming out.
I'm telling you, I only put in the calls. I did not answer those calls.
Ma'am.
Now, if you want the station's number, I can give you the station.
I just want right care to be sent out. How do you do that? If you're me, how do you get right care sent out? Or I don't have that right?
Caller requesting right care. Right care. Okay. What are you diagnosed with?
I want to deal with the trauma of being targeted and violated of my rights repetitively year after year and don't have any resolution to abuse. I'm in an abusive situation that involves law enforcement to an extreme degree. And I have a lot of trauma from going through this situation, multiple assaults, abuse, child abuse with my daughter, all kinds of crimes that I'm forced to live in. So if I have to live in the abuse, churches being enlisted to this abuse, all kinds of chaos that people wouldn't believe. So if I'm forced to live in this abuse, I just wanted therapy to deal with the chaos I'm forced to live in, not having rights, not being a part of society, not being a part of this constitution, being deprived of constitutional rights openly and nothing is done. So if I have to live with like that, knowing that if anything happens to me, I don't have the right to law enforcement, 911 covers up for it, so I can easily get murdered at any point. Who's not covering for it? Who is not covering for it?
What are you diagnosed with?
I think that we're deflecting. The fact of the matter is that I'm in an abusive situation. So if you're in an abusive situation that you can't get out, what is that diagnosis?
What kind of abuse?
Or
mental?
All of it. I've been assaulted, guns put on me, psychological abuse. When I'm in emergencies, they hang up, multitude of people duck and dodge me because that's my abuser gets off on it. They play games knowing that I'm desperate and then deny me of services because that's what he enjoys. People start arguments repetitively when I call, disregard, pretend like they can't understand from call to call. I'm constantly speaking with scammers that cover up for crimes. The only objective is can they convince someone it's a real call and they even cared about helping me. Going to my cell phone provider, they cover and enforce the crimes as well as church members.
Okay. Would you like to speak to a right care counselor?
I don't understand why they've been trying to send them out all these times, and now that I want to speak to them, I'm deprived of that right. Can they make up their mind? Do they want me to speak with right care or not?
I told you what happened.
That's a blatant lie. They did not show. So if they sent out Right Care all that time to tamper with evidence, why are they depriving me of the right to speak with them now? They've been sending them out for years to commit crimes. Well, I don't understand why they send Right Care out if they don't want me to actually use Right Care. Were they scamming with Right Care? And if they were, is that criminal? So they send out Right Care to scam, but really don't want me getting the help for Right Care. Because they have never helped me in all the times they've been sent out. They were actually abusive and helped cover for crimes. And the one time the party that wasn't covering up for crimes, they wouldn't let her speak. And she just sat there and wouldn't speak. She said a couple words and they wouldn't let her speak from that point on. So, I don't understand what was the purpose of her coming. Right Care assistance, they came all the way out to deprive me of assistance. I guess they didn't want to make this mistake this time, so they just blatantly lied about coming. No one has knocked on the door each time they call and before they commit these crimes. They always call or let me know they're on their way in these scams. This time when they scam, so do I need an ambulance?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I don't think that it's right for me to have to call and speak with counterfeits and people that cover for my situation for years. I think that's very abusive emotionally for people to disregard, be condescending. I think that's emotionally abusive, especially the way that I was treated when people weren't when I wasn't recording. No one would ever believe the way people talked to me and got away with it for years.
Okay, do you take any medication?
No, I'm not currently taking any medication. I take vitamins, but we still haven't got a resolution to what's going to happen with Right Care, and I called at 6:11 a.m. Am I not allowed? I don't have rights. So are you guys saying that I don't have the right to speak with Right Care only when I'm getting framed? Is that what you're saying?
No, I've offered you to speak to a Right Care counselor 3 times.
On the phone, they were supposed to be coming out because on the phone earlier she told me that she couldn't help me get into domestic violence or any assistance, and they said that they could possibly call in person,
okay.
Even though they're conning. But
you want to check with Allison to see what time that they were supposed to do that?
I think that we're there's a lack of communication, a misunderstanding. This is supposedly you call this number to get Right Care out. Do you not want me to speak with them, ma'am?
You can speak to a counselor to see what time the Right Care is supposed to come out.
Okay, but you don't
speak with Allison about that?
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. I just want to make sure I understand you. There's no way for you to make sure I'm understanding if you don't let me get my clarity and talk.
But I don't want you to know.
Oh, so now someone's coming. Okay, so now someone's coming. Now someone's coming again.
Yeah,
Okay, so at 9:05, they blatantly lied and said they came, but didn't. And now you want...
There was no answer at the door.
That's a blatant lie. Blatant lie. But, I don't have rights, so no one... apparently, the minimal parties are concerned about that. Okay, so what do we do from this point?
Well, I'm sending them back out, but if you want to speak to a Right Care counselor, I can transfer you to Allison.
Okay, send them back out. It was a long time coming. Send them back out, and yes, I can speak with Allison and see what cons they have up now.
Okay. Do you want to give your date of birth? What's your date of birth, Ms. Clark?
Ma'am, we already went over this. Is this harassment? Am I diagnosed with anything?
I'll just tell her you refuse to answer. Hold on.
We've already went over that. I'm involved in the domestic abuse. So when they immediately know when I'm not recording. So then she said that I'm going to get her on the line. Then when I stop recording because they ask personal information, then I stop the recording. Then she starts the same chaos over again. Are you diagnosed with anything? Trying to frame it. This is part of the harassment. They have been doing this crap years. She has sent her absolutely nothing regarding the chaos I have said. The only thing that she's emphasizing and concentrating on, are you diagnosed with anything? They normally would say, do you want to hurt yourself? That's what they're saying in a lot of these videos. Do you want to hurt yourself or anyone else? It's just a video diary. Let's see what schemes. I guess a multitude of people saying it's better you than me. Better you than me. We don't know that. What happened with COVID? Crazy stalker, deranged stalker that's running the government. Didn't have rights. Everywhere I went, a multitude, thousands of people were aware, did nothing. Then you didn't have rights. It escalated to a degree that I just, but I absolutely initially thought that I didn't have rights. It was another scheme. Yes, ma'am.
I have Allison on the line. You want to speak to her about your resources?
I don't know, ma'am. Let's see what's going on here.
Hi, Ms. Clark. My name's Allison. I'm a direct care team.
Okay, yes, I was explaining to her I'm in a domestic violence situation and I'm deprived of any advocacy or support from blacklisted altogether, period. So I was wanting to know if I can get therapy to deal with not having rights, civil rights, even though this is supposed to be the civil rights movement and a day and age of civil rights. I don't have any. So I wanted to get therapy to deal with not having rights and not being a part of the constitutional rights that a multitude of people have. I don't have that right.
Okay, so you're interested in therapy today?
Yes. As I see that you're validating the fact that I don't have rights and I can't get any assistance with the domestic violence situation, we're in agreement with that?
I'm just here to help you get some therapy if that's what you're needing.
Well, I did say that I'm in a domestic violence situation and I'm blacklisted from services. You did hear that. So we're in agreement that I can't get the services for that?
No, ma'am, I'm here to help you get services.
Okay.
Have you received therapy in the past?
Yes, it was kind of, sporadic. My abuser really doesn't like people to validate my experience, so he's able to control my therapy, so it wasn't really a normal therapy like an average person would have. Because they kind of covered from my experience. They couldn't really validate and say, that this was abuse, and they just kind of listen. They couldn't really give me the full therapy because he has to make sure his feelings are spared in my therapy sessions. They had to keep the door open for some reason. I said that this is personal therapy, but they were forced me to keep the door open because I cut my phone off. So I felt violated during my therapy because they forced me. Because they always close the door at therapy. I said, can you close the door? They said no. Sometimes they said, hold on, let me see. I said, let you see? Yes, let me see. So it was a male. He got up. He said, no, I can't close the door. This is how I get violated year after year. I said, okay, I'm lucky. I'm surprised I even had this amount of rights. But anyway, ma'am, yes, so what are you willing to offer?
Well, first of all, I'm sorry to hear about that experience.
Oh, thank you.
Would you prefer, does the abuser still live with you, or?
No, it was someone that I think I met. I have no clue where I met the individual from. I think I met him online, so we never did live together.
Okay. So would you feel comfortable with a telehealth appointment for therapy, or would you prefer in person?
Yeah, the telehealth is fine. Would they be able to give me help for the domestic abuse situation and trauma, or do they just have to frame me for mental illness and tell me I'm delusional, or can I actually get help with trauma from the abuse?
I'm hoping they can help you with the trauma as well.
You're with Right Care and you're not sure if they can?
No, I'm sure that they can.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that, since you've been in therapy before, I'm sure you're aware it's kind of a group effort there, so.
No, actually you misunderstood. I really didn't have the right to normal therapy because, as I stated, they had to cover for the criminal activity. And all they did was kind of listen. They really couldn't advocate or validate my emotions or feelings. So I didn't have the therapy experience that a multitude of other people would have. They had to leave the door open so my abuser's feelings were spared. And he knew what I was discussing with them so he can feel comfortable in my therapy session. So I don't want to get therapy and my abuser has to be a part of it and force them to leave the door open. I didn't feel comfortable with the person that I was reporting being involved in my therapy session. So now that he doesn't feel comfortable, it hurts his feelings that me venting the abuse that he's putting me through. That hurts his feelings. So now I'm blacklisted from therapy, period. And he didn't feel comfortable with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm happy to send a referral over for you.
Okay.
What time would work best for you for therapy?
I'm not quite sure how it works, a referral for the therapy.
The referral, it's just a little write-up that's sent over to a clinic just specifying what's needed, and then they will call you and talk to you from there because you'll be able to give them more information on what you're looking for and violence that you went through and kind of the trauma that you gained from that. Just kind of want to talk through it.
Right.
Okay.
But as far as, actually getting advocacy or support to actually get out of it, that's off the table.
Are you, you said you're no longer living with the abuser. Does he still have contact with you?
No, I'm bullied and violated every day. Law enforcement's involved and deprived me of law enforcement for a multitude of reports. I'm gang stalked. There's been voyeurism crimes in the past, so there are probably still voyeurism crimes today.
Okay. And do you live in a domestic violence shelter or anything like that?
No, I stay.
Anything? Sometimes those can offer a little bit more security if you're still going through it.
I'm blacklisted from all shelters, but what I was asking is for assistance from you to see what you can do with Right Care. I'm blacklisted from all shelters, all of them.
Okay. Well, we can kind of look into and reach out to shelters and see if
What's your name?
My name's
Allison. Allison, I'm so amazed that every party that I speak with and tell my experience with, they're never amazed. It's just all in the day's work. They just, okay. Yeah, that happened last. I guess it happens often. You hear stories like mine often, Allison?
I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing your story.
Oh, because everyone is just so calm and they're never, oh, wow, I can't believe you. They're just calm and, you want therapy? We can give you therapy. I mean, a lot of times that's not been offered. But okay. I see that my experience doesn't surprise a lot of people in my circle.
Okay, well, are you still interested in therapy?
Am I still interested? I'm not quite understanding why you would think that it would change.
I'm just wanting to make sure that...
Because I gave you the information and this would be a form of abuse. If I've called and I've been on the phone 30 minutes for therapy, and then you ask me if I still want the therapy, because before they had me on hold all this time and then hang up, I'm just trying to expose that perhaps there's a harassment scheme underlying. So if I gave you my information, I paused the recording and I gave you my information and the times, and then you told me that someone would reach out, and then I asked for more help with the domestic violence, and then you asked me if I still want the counseling. Is there a particular reason why you would ask me that? Because in the past, when I tried to report my abuser and get some assistance, a lot of times the police would just show up in schemes. And then I had another party that's recorded said that she was going to send someone out for mental health, a completely random person that what I was trying to report my abuser to. Well, they actually did in the past, and they actually came with abuse. So I'm not quite sure how a random place I was calling out the blue wanted to frame me for mental illness. And then why in the past police actually showed up in schemes. I'm not quite understanding why that is happening. Maybe, it has something to do while they were at AT&T waiting on me and prevented me from speaking with AT&T about the chaos that was going on with my phone. Now they don't show up. My providers threaten the police to enforce whatever's going on with my phone. Are you sure? Are you positive that you are with Right Care?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What's your position with Right Care?
I'm a clinician.
Okay, so you're a clinician, and we talked about the domestic abuse, and then you asked me if, in response to that, if I was still interested in the counseling.
I just want to make sure you're comfortable with what we've talked about.
But I don't understand why every single place I go, every place, when I say every, I mean every place. deprives me of help with domestic abuse. Do you know why that would why that would happen, Ashley? Oh, what's your name again? I'm sorry.
My name's Alice.
Allison, I'm sorry. So are you
I'm not sure why that's been happening, but I am sorry to hear it, and I'm here to try and help if I can.
Okay, well, you did say so you don't want the counseling. So that's not going to help because we disregarded the fact that I was asking for help in domestic violence. When I asked you about the domestic violence, you stated, so you don't want the counseling?
No, ma'am, I just wanted to clarify, make sure
We still have not responded, as well as any party that I have spoken with. Even the National Domestic Violence Hotline was playing games on actually getting a resolution for this chaos I've been experiencing years. So as part of the domestic violence, you already got my information, what days I'm off, what time I get off work to set up, have them call back for the counseling. We still have not honed in on the domestic violence. Are you saying that's off the table for me to get help with that? Because it has been at every other location that I've been to, even church.
No, ma'am, it's not off the table.
Okay.
I'm happy to look into different domestic violence resources for you, but as far as the counseling goes for the trauma that you experienced, I just wanted to make sure you were comfortable with me sending a referral. I don't want to do anything wrong.
We've already went over that, so I don't understand why we've already completed that, and I haven't been able to get any assistance with the domestic violence for years. So I kind of want to concentrate on that. Perhaps if I wouldn't be getting violated, I would need to have a therapist. But being forced to have to be violated, I think that perhaps maybe that's imperative to stop me from being abused. And band-aiding it with therapy, if I could stop the abuse, that would be a big solution. But I haven't found no party that I come in contact with that is willing to assist with it, period.
What kind of assistance are you looking for?
You're a Right Care social worker?
Yes,
Do you advocate?
advocate in what way?
Advocate in what way? You don't know what advocacy is?
I do, but there are many different forms of it. So
Altogether?
are you looking for advocacy in different housing?
All the advocacy. So if you're an advocate, what do you advocate? And I mean, what are the referrals? What do you recommend as an advocate? Because I've been deprived of that. I've never had advocacy before. Everyone I come in contact with is covering for the crimes that happened to me. I've never had anyone ever, since this went on, with a legitimate interest in helping me. Not churches, no one, period. Not even family members. I don't know how it feels. Every person I come in contact with is covering up for this chaos. I have never met a person that looked at my experience, validated, and said it was sick. If they did it initially, shortly after, they won't respond, dodge me, and cover for it.
Okay. So would you be interested in a shelter that offers more security, or are you comfortable where you're at?
We did go into that where we're still covering up for the abuser. Because I did say already at the beginning of this call, I already have a place to stay. This is kind of like what has been happening for years. I have no clue why every last person, So I'm not being heard. Are you covering up for the abuser, ma'am?
No, ma'am, not at all.
Okay, so how did he get his charges? I've never heard of anyone that wanted him to get his charges, even church members. No one, not even my own family. They said that they called him for some reason when they were crying and in terror and my son got hit with a car. They claimed that they called him and he didn't do it. And they didn't believe that he did it. But some kind of way they were emotional and having meltdowns. And then the police came and then my sister was having an emotional meltdown saying that she stated that I was having a mental breakdown. And my sister was also depriving me of vital mill. But some kind of way she couldn't keep it together and was having meltdowns. So I don't understand why my sister was the most afraid that I've ever seen a human being and hid vital mail from me. Not one piece, and went through my things and gave someone, I just can't even go into the situation, but never mind. So I just don't understand what would make my family so terrified to where they would cover for this man, as well as every single party I've came in contact with. And it really hurts when it's your family. So I don't understand why I call randomly all over the United States and our parties cover for this man as well. If someone were to actually give this man his charges, I imagine that they would be really high. We're talking about hacking phone networks, hit and runs, all kinds of chaos. 70-something reports the police refuse to investigate. This is like a horror movie, man. And then extreme conspiracy to violate civil rights crime before a national or global pandemic that shut everything down. This is what horror and sci-fi movies are made of. Am I saying it's related, ma'am? I just stated that I have never seen the degree of corruption ever. I never didn't even know it existed. When this man was getting caught in the government and all their criminal activity, ma'am, when multitude of parties were shutting down businesses left and right, depriving me of services, doing all kind of chaos that you wouldn't believe, bullying, violating, all this kind of stuff that horror movies are made of. When I finally clicked and realized what was going on, so these people can get their charges, we had a global pandemic, ma'am. It was kind of like the situation at my daughter's school when I got the new job that people ignored. How the school shut down on the weekend for the flu epidemic, ma'am. I told the FBI that they may need to investigate that. Because if someone can shut down a school so a party can work, still child support payments, still Social Security, still food stamps, have businesses overcharge you, keep your change. This is a story that horror and sci-fi movies are made of, ma'am. If someone can break into your phone, be so sadistic to break into your phone, control your calls, and do it better because now the calls are being recorded. This is what horror movies are made of, ma'am. So what can you do to help assist with that, ma'am?
Well, I wish I could help with a lot more of what you're going through, but unfortunately, as far as the charges go, that's up to the police. But as far as therapy and finding you a safe place to stay, if you're interested in that, I can help with those things.
No one can help with getting this man his charges, ma'am, before COVID. When they went to the Northern District Court, August of 2019. And then they said they were true and factual events extended from a long period of time. Then I got the false arrest. They detained me for no reason. The bus drove off when I was trying to leave, and I almost fell when I was trying to catch the bus. They would routinely do this, slam the door in my face. One time, my hand got caught in the door, and I was bleeding. Multiple parties covered for that. They did it again. They let other people get on the bus and slam the door on me. I was leaning on the bus, trying to get his attention, beating on the door so I can get on the bus. He drove off when I was beating on the door, trying to pretend like he didn't see me. When he did that, ma'am, I almost fell up under the bus. I tried to report it because I realized these schemes were dangerous at this point because I could have been killed. I went to the police department. Lindsay schemed and arrested me for criminal trespass at a DART customer service station trying to speak with Cedric Bivens. In jail, they held me there for 3 months, put me in isolation, and tortured me in ways that people wouldn't believe, so I won't report it. When I got out, I did not think I was going to make it out alive. They said I wasn't mentally competent to stand trial because other times they schemed so I couldn't go. So now they had to do another scheme and say that I wasn't mentally competent. When that scheme reached the escalation and they couldn't scheme anymore, they claimed it was dismissed. After I got out of jail, February, I went to report it. I tried to go over the corruption. I went to politicians. When I went to the politicians, then everything shut down. People were actually getting caught, a multitude of people. What kind of timing is that, ma'am? So what I'm trying to make all these viewers see, when you just sit, look, condone, watch one get violated, who's to say that you won't get violated in the same degree? There's responsibility that a multitude of people, things that should have happened that didn't. When you watch my civil rights getting violated, perhaps maybe that's why yours were violated. I couldn't just watch this. I don't know what they're doing to people. The kind of person I am, I just don't think I could sit and look at this YouTube channel and not report. I don't think that I can attend a church with someone, disregard her and ignore her, even if the government was putting me up to doing it. I would give that party love and support. So I don't know what they're doing to cause these people to be abusers too. But obviously, I don't have rights. That is made painfully clear before COVID. So just give me what you're willing to give me. My abuser's protected. He was protected before the shutdown. And then when he was getting caught and multiple other different people, then everything closed down. Okay, ma'am, whatever you're willing to give me, ma'am.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'm very sorry to hear about everything you've been through.
Okay, yes, ma'am. What are you willing to give me? This has been going on years.
I can send that referral for you, ma'am.
Okay.
I appreciate you talking to me.
Okay, so when will I get the referral?
I'm sending it today, and then they could be contacting you anytime this week. But you said you're off Thursday, so it could be Thursday.
Okay, and your name's Ashley?
It's
Allison, you did say that. So, Allison, if I need to speak with you, I just call this number again and ask to speak with you?
Yeah, you can call 911 and ask to speak to the right care team.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.